What's going on, comic fans? It's Mike from the Hardcover Comic here. Today, I wanted to talk about 5 incredible stories from various smaller publishers, Dark Horse, Aftershock, and Boom Studios. Very excited to talk about these titles. They're books that I really enjoy. They're either mini-series or books that, are ongoing, obviously. Mostly mini-series, but very excited to dive into these. These are all awesome titles that got me really excited to read a comic again and to talk about a comic again. So I'm very excited to share these all with you. Real quick before we do, if you're ever going to look for trade paperbacks for these series or potential hardcovers if they're ever announced, check out our amazing sponsor, organicpricebooks.com. The best place to go for comic books, in my opinion. Amazing shipping, amazing customer service, great discounts, incredible selection. And with the promo codes THC2, you'll get a extra $2 off your order, or the promo code THC, ship it together. If you order 3 or more books, you'll get 5% off the entire order. Those promo codes are also down in the description below. Check them out. Check out the website. At least you can pre-order. There are some damaged copies as well that you can order. Really great stuff on organicpricebooks.com. Now, let's get into these 5 awesome series I highly recommend you check out. So when I started making this video and I started looking at what titles I wanted to talk about, the first title I wanted to talk about actually was a mini-series. It has since February been extended to be an ongoing series at Boom Studios. It is Damn Them All, written by Simon Spurrier, artwork by Charlie Adlard. I was amazed by this story. Now, if you're new to the channel, I love Simon Spurrier. Simon Spurrier to me is one of the top writers right now, especially when it comes to miniseries, being able to tell such a dense, intricate, complex story with multi-layered characters, multiple plot threads going, all within 5-6 issues. I don't understand how Spurrier ever does it. It feels like whenever I read an issue of his book, I've read an entire graphic novel. It's incredible. I love what Cy Spurrier is doing in the comic book universe, and that's been the case for years at this point. Charlie Adlard, you may know the name from Walking Dead. He was the artist on that. Now with color, really awesome stuff from both creators. I've got to say, this title is incredible. I'm a huge fan of supernatural things, John Constantine in particular from DC Comics, and Cy Spurrier basically said, hey, my Hellblazer run is over, but I want to keep doing more supernatural magic stuff, and as a result, we've got Damn Them All. It focuses on Ellie Hawthorne, who is a magician for hire, who primarily works for these sort of mafias. There are these mafias within this world that, use magic and supernatural aspects of the world to essentially wage war against each other, as mafias do. Really interesting idea for a universe in general, and the twist in this world is that demons, in some way, shape, or form now, have been confined to medallions and are things that people are able to control. There's even a joke within the first issue that they're kind of like Pokemon now. So that's kind of what you're looking at in the world. It's a very serious book with a very serious tone. Ellie has just lost her uncle Alfred, who was the biggest proponent in her life, driving her towards magic. You get to see sort of the history between Ellie and Alfie. You get to see how Alfie has impacted the world and other characters within the world that interact with Ellie. Very dense story. Spurrier takes you through Ellie's experiences doing magical rituals, and there's this weird feeling that creeps over you as you're reading these descriptive images of what Ellie is feeling or seeing during these various rituals, like her first time. And it's really creepy. It's really haunting. It's definitely, you can feel this sort of, even if you don't believe in magic, you can kind of feel the impact that magic has in that world. At least it feels very visceral. It's kind of crazy. I'm not sure how Spurrier did it. It may just be my bias as well, but I personally really loved it. As of this recording, 4 issues have been released. Maybe a 5th one, and I just haven't read it yet. But as I said, it's going to be an ongoing series now. Initially, it was going to be a mini-series, but it's ongoing now, so what can I do? I can no longer call this must-read mini-series. But either way, it's going to be, it's an awesome title. I can't recommend Damn Them All enough. If you like anything supernatural, if you like anything with magic, if you like anything with a bit of a mystery and occult themes to it, Damn Them All is a big recommendation for you. The next title I wanted to talk about, also from Boom Studios, is a title called Grimm, written by Stephanie Phillips with artwork by Flaviano. Another title I didn't really know much about going into it. The cover looked really cool. The concept for it seemed really cool. Essentially, this book follows a character named Jessica Harrow as she deals with being a Reaper. She is one of the many Grim Reapers that exists within the afterlife. She one day stumbles upon this man named Dylan who is on the verge of death and who dies actually, and she winds up taking him to the afterlife, which introduces us to this entire world. Jess is one of, like I said, one of many Reapers. You get to meet a couple other Reapers within the trio of main Reapers that you follow in this story. There's Jess, Eddie, and Marcel. Eddie is, if you're aware of Iron Maiden lore, I guess Eddie the Reaper. Really cool. It's really fun. They kind of make some references to heavy metal music and the band that Eddie is part of. I really liked it. A little cool little touch there. But anyway, one day Dylan ends up taking Jess's scythe, and as a result, she needs to chase him. That day, she gets touched by a living person, which should never happen. That's not something that happens for Reapers. There's also the aspect that Jessica doesn't know what happened to her, what her death was. Everyone else knows how they died except for her. So these two things sort of spiral into what could potentially be a conspiracy. Where is main Death himself? He's been missing. He's off of his throne. He's been gone. You get to see sort of a different hierarchy within the Reapers, within the Afterlife Society as well. Really cool stuff. It's a great read. It goes by relatively quickly as a read. The artwork by Flaviano is amazing. Very dynamic, very exciting. I like the colors a lot. They're really well done. The world's very exciting as well. The characters are really cool. And as you sort of see the mysteries of this world unfold, it gets, you get more and more invested. It was really well done. I'm really enjoying it. I want to keep going back to it. Death is one of those topics that typically is very dark. This title is a serious title for sure, but it's got a relatively lighter feel to it that I enjoyed, mainly in the way the characters all interact with one another. But I'm curious to see how this mystery unfolds. Who is Jess as a character? What is happening with Death himself? Very much gives me a Sandman universe type of vibe to it, which is great. So if that's something you're looking for, that's something you're interested in, be sure to check this out. This is going to be, I think, a great adventure story with a cool mystery that'll unfold over time in a setting that I personally really enjoy. That it doesn't get too dark or too satanic or anything. So I really appreciated that as well. It's just a nice take on something like the afterlife and the characters that would be involved in some sort of supernatural version of the afterlife where there are things like Reapers. So if you're looking for something a little different, a little cool, a little fun, a lighter read, something that's a bit easier to read, something along the lines of Something is Killing the Children, I highly recommend checking out Grimm. The next title I want to talk about is definitely going to be a mini series. I think Matt had announced that there will be 3 volumes in total. This is Spy Superb from Dark Horse. Matt Kindt, Charlene Kindt doing all the work. Matt Kindt, if you've been following the channel, I'm a huge fan of. If you haven't been following the channel, I'm a huge fan of Matt Kindt. He's awesome. Most of his work is fantastic. I'm not too sure. I haven't been following along too much with what this series is going to be. I know there are 2 issues out right now they're both about 55 pages. I don't know if those are the 3 volumes that Matt has been referring to. So there might be a 3rd issue, which will be the last one. But either way, 2 issues as of this recording. Really, really awesome title. Spy Superb is about the best spy ever created. The Spy Superb that doesn't exist. The Spy Superb, the biggest lie in intelligence history, the biggest lie in espionage. Such a cool idea. It's such a cool idea. This world essentially has, like I said, a spy that doesn't exist within it, but is a legendary spy. Most of the world, China, Russia, they think that this operative, this Spy Superb, is this incredible spy they've never been able to handle. But what it's really been is civilians that get passed off these roles. They get passed off tasks to do unknowingly, sort of the unknowing idiot a Pink Panther type character. We've seen these we've seen these a few times in movies and TV shows. A really fun idea. You eventually get introduced to J. Bartholomew III, who is the current spy superb, again, unknowingly, as he gets mixed up in this entire operation where China and Russia are trying to take down the spy superb with no luck. Really cool stuff. It's such a fun comedy, thriller, action type comic book. It's over the top. It's ridiculous. It's funny. It's hilarious. It's just such a fun time to read. Matt Kindt. It's a cool idea for one, and then Matt Kindt and Charlene Kindt knocked it out of the park with the execution. Again, some people may not be fans of Matt Kindt's artwork. That's typically the only time I see negative comments on videos is for Matt's artwork, which is unfortunate. But I think it suited the tone of this book. I really enjoyed it. I like Matt Kindt's artwork. I think it's great. I think the aesthetic of the book is really cool. As you look through it, it feels like you're looking through a dossier, an old file. I always appreciate these production touches as well that Dark Horse and Matt and Charlene Kindt put into their books. I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. It's a fun time. It's a story unlike any other comic that you're probably reading at the moment. Their comics are very serious nowadays, but this is a great story with backup stories in it that are more serious, that give you a bit more context on other characters that J. Bartholomew III interacts with throughout his journey. I can't recommend this story enough if you're into any sort of comedy or fun thrillers. Next up is a mini-series called Chicken Devil. This is actually volume 1 I'm going to talk about. Volume 2 I think is releasing at the moment. It might all be completed already. A fantastic mini-series published by Aftershock Comics. I think it was a couple years ago that volume 1 came out. 4 issues in total for the first mini. Written by Brian Buccellato with artwork by Hayden Sherman. A really insane book. Chicken Devil, I wasn't really sure what to expect. The cover has a man in a chicken suit with a gun, and that's essentially what you get in this story. It doesn't start off that way, of course. It's actually it's a very heartbreaking story. I will say it's a story about this man named Mitchell who runs a really awesome, successful hot chicken place that one day has a fire, and it turns out throughout this fire that his business partner Antonio is dealing drugs with the mafia. So this is where all the problems start to come in. Things spiral out of control. Mitchell's life falls into a mess of disarray, and Mitchell ends up not losing it, but he ends up saying, "Screw this. It's time to take my life back. Time to take the fight back to the mafia." And so Chicken Devil is born. I don't want to give away more than that. It's only 4 issues, so a lot of the story, I don't want to spoil it. There are a lot of twists and turns in this story. It's got very much a quirky Tarantino type vibe, a lot of cursing. Definitely not for children. The context matter is definitely very adult, but the subject matter is very adult. But I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. It's a good old classic story about revenge that has a bit of comedy tossed in there as well. It generally feels lighthearted. The artwork, because it's stylistic, it's still very good in my opinion. The colors were very vibrant, exciting. The panel layouts were interesting. The sequential storytelling was fascinating, but for the most part, the artwork isn't hyper realistic, so this doesn't feel as dark as it potentially could. It sort of feels like a fever acid trip. It's really cool. It's really fun, very exciting, very high octane, very fast paced, and like I said, with lots of twists and turns that'll keep you wondering what's happening within just 4 issues. I'm very excited to check out volume 2 as well, but I recommend checking out Chicken Devil if you like, again, a comedic, suspenseful thriller, a good old-fashioned story about revenge, a chicken version of The Punisher. I highly recommend checking out Chicken Devil. The last book I want to talk about, also from Aftershock. I don't know if this is going to be a mini or if it's just going to be ongoing. There are 7 issues as of this recording. Samurai Doggy, a fantastic book, like I said, published at Aftershock Comics. I've read 4 issues as of this moment, and I can't recommend it enough already. It's so fantastic. It is a high octane action, heartfelt action adventure story featuring a dog that was that is also on a journey of revenge. Similar to Chicken Devil, Samurai Doggy is seeking revenge for the disappearance of his brothers and sisters and the death of his mother when he was a child. All of this gets revealed to you in the first issue as you get thrown into insane action as Samurai Doggy is fighting his way through groups and groups of robots. You get a little bit of context. You get a little bit of a flashback as Samurai Doggy explains how he came to be, meeting his vulture companion Ray. I should mention, written by Chris Tex, artwork by Santos. It took me a bit longer to mention that than with all the other titles. I really enjoyed this. I had no idea what to expect. A dog samurai sounds like fun. Sounds like familiar concept. We've seen these sorts of things before in the past, but the twist here is it feels like it's interacting with many other cultures, many other formats of comic books that necessarily don't interact with Western comics that much. We've seen it a little bit with things like Jeff Darrow stuff, but this kind of feels that way. It kind of feels like a manga, kind of feels like a Cowboy Bebop type of book, mixed with Trigun and Samurai Champloo, if anyone's familiar with animes. Really, really exciting, stylistic action. I really enjoyed it. You can tell there are going to be a lot of tear-jerking moments within the book. There's a lot of emotion and sentiment put into the character of Samurai Doggy. Obviously, a very noble cause to try and save his brothers and sisters that were kidnapped when they were just born. Very excited to see where the title goes. Looking forward to more of it. The action is awesome, but as a result, it is a relatively quick read. Still, I really enjoyed it. You can tell there was a lot of love and work that was put into the title, so I always appreciate that. And I always appreciate something awesome coming from Aftershock Comics. That's 5 titles that I recommend checking out. Various genres for the most part. A lot of thrillers, a lot of suspense in there. These were all books that honestly, as I've been reading recently, I've read a good number of comics in my life, and these really put a smile on my face. These really got me excited. These really made me want to tell people to read these comics. So I hope you do. I hope you have recommendations for me. If you do, let us know down in the comment section below. Looking forward to checking out more awesome titles. I've gotten some amazing recommendations from fans on this channel. I can't wait for more. Let me know what you think of these titles if you've read them. If not, please check them out. I highly recommend them. Thank you all very much for tuning in. This is Mike from the Hardcover Comic. Until next time, you stay classy, Internet.